The story of Joyce Byers in the world of Stranger Things is, on its surface, a story about a mother battling monsters from another dimension to get her son back. But if you listen closely, underneath the Christmas lights and the frantic scrawls on the wall, there beats the heart of a woman profoundly shaped by a quieter, more human tragedy, the loss of Bob Newby. To understand Joyce, you have to understand her grief for Bob, because it's not a single event she moves past, it's a key that unlocks a painful pattern in her life. A pattern of loss and the raw, stubborn perseverance that always, somehow, follows. Joyce's entire journey is a testament to loving deeply in a world that keeps taking those loves away, and her reaction to Bob's death shows us that her strength isn't about being unbreakable, but about knowing exactly how to put herself back together every single time she shatters. Before we even meet Bob, we know Joyce's life hasn't been easy. She's a single mother working a tough job in a small town. Already fighting to be believed when her youngest son, Will, vanishes into the upside down. Her husband, Lonnie, was a failure and a bully, leaving her to raise two boys largely alone. So when Bob Newby walks into her life, he represents something Joyce has likely stopped daring to hope for: normal, kind, stable love. Bob is the anti-Lonnie. He's gentle, he's awkward in a charming way, he tries to connect with her boys, and he looks at Joyce with pure, unwavering admiration. He calls her his hero. For Joyce, who is always in a state of high alert, always fighting, Bob is a safe harbor. He's the promise of a peaceful life, a chance to lower her guard and just be loved. This context makes what happens to him not just sad, but devastatingly cruel. Joyce finally allows herself to reach for happiness, and the very universe, quite literally, tears it away from her. The moment of Bob's death is a masterclass in showing grief through action, not words. When the Demodogs invade Hawkins' lab, Bob, the brave Bob the Brain, outsmarts the system to unlock the doors and save everyone. He makes it to the hallway, he sees Joyce, and their eyes meet. The relief on his face is luminous. He's made it. He saved the day. And then, in an instant, he is pulled back into the darkness and killed. Joyce's reaction is not a scream, but a frozen, silent horror. It's a look of someone watching hope itself be slaughtered. She is physically restrained from running to him, forced to watch the man she loves die, powerless to intervene. This powerlessness is the core of her trauma. Joyce Byers is a woman defined by action. She will break walls, confront monsters, travel to Russia, but in the single most important moment, she could do nothing. This feeling, this failure to save someone she loved, echoes the very first season, where she also fought desperately and almost lost Will. The pattern is set: love, then catastrophic loss, accompanied by a terrifying helplessness. In the immediate aftermath, we see Joyce do what she has always done: she compartmentalizes her grief to deal with the immediate crisis. She shuts down the heart to let the brain take over. She helps close the gate to the upside down. She survives. But once the immediate threat is gone, the grief doesn't pour out in a dramatic breakdown, it seeps into the cracks of her life. When we meet her again at the start of season 3, she is running a new business, she is surviving, but she is also deeply changed. Her house is covered in paranoid conspiracy boards, not about the upside down this time, but about magnets. She's jumpy, irritable, and obsessed with a new mystery. It's easy to see this as just Joyce being Joyce, her natural state of worry. But look closer. This is grief transmuted into anxiety. She couldn't save Bob from the monster she knew was real. So now she sees threats everywhere, in everything. She is trying to regain control in a world that proved, definitively, that control is an illusion. Her workaholic behavior and sharp demeanor are walls she builds to keep the pain at bay, and to protect herself from ever feeling that vulnerable again. Perhaps the most profound testament to her grief is her relationship with Hopper. Here is Jim Hopper, who has also lost a child, who understands loss on a bone-deep level, who is clearly in love with her and offers her another chance at companionship and love. And Joyce pushes him away. For years, she keeps him at arm's length. It's not that she doesn't care for him, she does, deeply. It's that Bob's death taught her a terrible lesson: to love Joyce Byers is to be put in mortal danger. Her love, it seems, is a curse. She loved Will, and he was taken to the upside down. She loved Bob, and he was murdered. To let Hopper in is to sign his potential death warrant. Her perseverance here isn't about moving on, it's about carrying the weight of that belief and choosing isolation as a form of protection for others. When she finally does go on a date with Hopper, she is a bundle of nerves, not just because it's awkward, but because she's trying to overcome a massive trauma. And then, cruelly, the pattern repeats. She allows herself a sliver of hope for a new beginning with Hopper, and he is ripped away from her, too, in a heroic sacrifice that mirrors Bob's in its devastating finality. The universe confirms her worst fear. This is why Joyce's decision to move away from Hawkins at the end of season 3 is so significant. It's not running away. It is an active, painful choice to break the pattern. Hawkins is a graveyard for her. It holds the ghost of Bob, the ghost of Hopper, the endless trauma of Will's ordeal. She is persevering by trying to create a new environment for her boys and for herself, one not saturated with memories of loss. Of course, the story continues, and grief doesn't just disappear with a change of address. When she learns Hopper might be alive, she doesn't hesitate. She leaves her new life and travels to the brutal cold of Russia on a desperate rescue mission. This is the ultimate expression of her character. Grief hasn't made her weak, it has refined her strength into a laser focus. She failed to save Bob. She will not fail to save Hopper. She endures freezing temperatures, Russian prison guards, and a Demogorgon, all driven by the chance to undo one loss, to finally, for once, save someone she loves. In the end, Joyce Byers' story is the story of a heart that continues to beat despite being broken multiple times. Her grief for Bob is the central, defining fracture in that heart. It showed her that love in her life is often followed by unimaginable sacrifice. But her perseverance is found in the fact that she never lets that grief turn her love to stone. She is cautious, she is scarred, she is afraid, but she never fully stops loving. She loves her sons with a ferocity that defies dimensions. She cared for Bob with a tenderness he cherished. She loved Hopper enough to fight through her fear and then cross the world for him. Joyce teaches us that perseverance isn't about avoiding pain or getting over a loss. It's about integrating that loss into who you are, letting it change you, and then choosing to move forward anyway, carrying both the love and the ache. She is a woman haunted by ghosts, but she uses their memory not as a chain to hold her back, but as a fuel to fight for the living. She grieves deeply and forever, and that very grief becomes the proof of her capacity to love, and the reason she never, ever stops fighting.